Guys, welcome to the YouTube channel Infinity Studios. In this particular video, I would be talking about the DevOps lifecycle. As a glimpse, this is how the DevOps lifecycle looks like. There are different phases like plan, code, build and test, which falls under the development activity, and there are phases like release, deploy, operate and monitor, which falls under the operations activity. So going ahead, we will be discussing each of the stages in this life cycle in detail, and also we will be discussing about the different tools that are used in each stage of this life cycle. So to get started, let's take an example. Suppose you are a software developer or a software engineer and you are working on a banking project, and your task is to build a banking application. So as in to get started, the first thing you need to have is a very good understanding or a clear vision of what features you need to develop. So this comes under the planning phase, wherein you will be deciding upon different features or the different things that you want to understand about each feature. So since you are going to build a banking application, generally the banking applications will be having different features like net banking or credit card related service or debit card related services and UPI services. So before you begin with the development process, you need to have a very clear understanding or the thorough knowledge of each of the features that will be kept into the banking application. So once you have the very good understanding or the clear vision about each of the features, then you need to understand or think about the tech stack that you want to use for your use case. Let's say since you are building an application, you will be having the front end and the back end. So there is a need that you have to understand which tech stack to use for front end and back end. And once you are done with finalizing all your tech choices, then comes the deployment thing. Where do you want to deploy your application so that the customers can access this application? Either you wanted to host it on some other dedicated servers, or else do you want to use any publicly available clouds like AWS or Azure or Google Cloud platform? So all these things will be covered as a part of the plan phase. And the some of the most commonly used tools are Jira and Confluence. So these tools are basically used to track the different things which are done as a part of planning phase. And now, given that everything is clear, the features are clear, the development process is clear, and the deployment is clear. So once everything is done, you will be getting into the development phase, wherein you will be writing the business logic or the code for each of the features. So let's say since it is a banking application, you are building this application in a Java framework like Spring or anything. So you will be starting out with the different things of implementing the features in development code editors like IntelliJ or VS Code as your choice. And then once you're done with developing each of the features which you have discussed in the plan phase, then you try to bundle up your application. So there are certain features which you have developed during the development phase, and all the features would be having multiple class files, and all these class files or the dependency files has to be bundled into a single thing. Either it may be into a jar file or a var file, so that it could be easy to use. So some of the most commonly used build tools are Maven or Gradle. Since you are using the Spring frameworks or the Java framework, you will be bundling the entire application into a jar or var file using Maven or Gradle build tools. And once you are done with the building part of the application, then there is a necessity to test your entire application. So there are n number of tools which you can use for testing. For example, If you are interested in doing the unit testing, you would be choosing JUnit or the Mockito. And there are different test strategies which could be done as a part of this testing phase in this life cycle. For example, you will be doing JUnit testing, which is the detailed testing of each of the features at the application level. So once you're done with the application level testing, then there is a need to test the to do the integration testing, wherein one flow of the feature will be interacting with the other flow of the feature. So this is how the integration testing takes place. And then once all the features are in place and the communication is going on safely, then there is a need to test the application starting from the base point to the end point, which is called as the end-to-end testing or the functional testing. So once all these tests are done, then you will be pushing this to the cloud, what you have chosen during the plan phase. So you will be giving it as a base release. For example, this is the first time you have developed the application and you are releasing it to the end users or the customers. So let's say like you will be naming this as version 1 and you will deploy it onto some cloud. So whenever you deploy it onto some cloud, you need to have an intermediary process to manage all the releases. So this is wherein the CI/CD tools comes into the picture. Some of the most commonly used CI/CD tools in the market are Jenkins or GitHub Actions or Circle CI. So using these tools, you will be pushing your application from the development phase to the cloud. And within the cloud, there might be different environments like production environment or the pre-production environment or the staging environments. So having different environments is a different chapter, so I'm not going to discuss about that here. So once you are done with deploying your application, and till now everything is okay, so the application has been deployed into the cloud and the customers are able to access your application and everything is going on safely till now. And let's say there is a Dasara sale or a Sankranti sale coming up, and there is a heavy traffic on your application. So in that scenario, you will have to think about scaling up your application. What I mean by the scaling application is like, so to solve the huge traffic, you need to expand your services or you need to expand your servers. And so that is how you will be thinking in the operation phase. So wherein you will be having different set of things when it comes to operations. The operations basically deals about how well you are able to handle the application when there is a huge traffic. And this is what the operation phase tells us about. And the next phase is about the monitoring. So what exactly this monitoring phase tells us is like, we need to have a set of tools integrated with the application which can track the status of different applications running there. For example, you might have built the application and there might be different services running, and during the process of serving the customers, some of the microservices or the things might go down. In that scenario, you should be able to track the services which are down and you should be able to rectify that so that the customers can be able to access the applications in a more effective way. So that is what the monitoring stage tells us about. And these are all the different set of tools these are all the different set of stages that we have in the DevOps lifecycle. And to tell about the different tools that we use as a part of the operation phase are could be Ansible or Kubernetes to scale up the applications or the servers or serving the customers or the end users. And some of the most commonly used tools for monitoring could be Splunk or Datadog or any other monitoring tools like Prometheus or ELK stack tools. So that's all, guys.